Ecowas Court of Justice asks member states to respect and implement its decision as its 11th external session ends in Accra.
WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control rates Ghana one of 12 countries to be making progress in tobacco control efforts.
Ghana in Group H with Portugal, Uruguay and Korea in World Cup draw.
And UN Secretary Council approves new peacekeeping force in Somalia. Good evening and welcome to News at 7. My name is Rahmatu Abubakar Mahmoud Jawando with...
My name is Micheline Taka. Helping us translate the news in sign language is Robert Frempomans. We are also live on GTV and live on Facebook and YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. You're most welcome.
The 11th external session of the Ecowas Court of Justice has ended in Accra with a call on member states to respect and implement the decisions of the court.
Ghana's Chief Justice, Justice Eninyeboah, speaking during the closing ceremony, also called for the strengthening of the court by expanding the membership of the judges. The external court session began on Monday, March 21, 2022. This is the first for the country since its introduction in March 2007 in Mali.
Past 2 weeks, the Ecowas External Court session heard cases mostly related to the violation of private citizens' rights by state institutions of member countries. The court, which initially slated 60 cases for hearing, heard 56 in all. 36 cases were heard while judgment was delivered in 20 cases. The remaining 4 cases could not be heard due to setbacks from parties and their legal representatives. Prominent among the cases heard during the 10-day sitting was the controversial Ijapa deal case brought against the Ghana government by 3 anti-corruption agencies.
The importance of the normative framework for the regional integration and the relationship between the national courts and the regional courts is of extreme importance, as it provides the enabling environment for the attainment of the community objectives. In addition to this regional integration objective, Ecowas has adopted the protection of human rights as a cardinal and fundamental value of the community. Without doubt, regional economic integration and regional protection of human rights both constrain sovereignty. It is therefore necessary for member states that establish the Ecowas as a vehicle for regional economic integration to recognize the supranationality of Ecowas and the need for them to abide by their treaty obligations.
At a ceremony to mark the closing of the session, the president of the Ecowas Court of Justice, Justice Edward Amoako Asante, said the purpose of the 11th session of the court had been achieved.
We have accomplished the objectives of the 11th external court session of Ecowas Court of Justice here in Accra. Without doubt, we have succeeded in deepening the fraternal relations between the Ecowas Court of Justice and the judiciary in Ghana. We have also succeeded in creating awareness about the Court of Justice among the general populace. I'm equally convinced that we have given lawyers here in Ghana the opportunity to observe the court in session and to learn about the practice and procedure of the court.
Ghana's Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Eninyeboah, reiterated the need for a stronger collaboration between national courts of member states and the sub-regional courts to ensure the speedy facilitation of the integration process.
As we look to the future, let us all remind ourselves of the ideas and proposals that have been tabled during the sessions. We hope that the court will consider seriously proposals to extend the mandate of judges and increase the number of judges so that the court can have the capacity to address even more cases than it has.
Justice Kwesi Eninyeboah reminded member states to abide by the rulings of the court in the interest of justice. He encouraged the sub-regional courts to consider returning to Ghana for the next session, saying Ghana's doors are always opened.
The president of the Ecowas Court of Justice, Justice Edward Amoako Asante, at a news conference after the session said the sitting in Ghana achieved about 99% success rate with a new record of 20 judgments at a single sitting. He said the court could only give 11 judgments in previous sittings.
During the 2 weeks of sitting in Accra, the court set a new record in its history by delivering 20 judgments, the highest number of judgments delivered in a single external court session. While this achievement is laudable and consistent with the tradition of the current crop of College of Judges, the court remains concerned about the low level of enforcement of its decisions, which remains at about 30%. Article 24.3 of the Supplementary Protocol on the Court provides that each member state shall appoint a national authority for the purpose of reception and processing for the execution of the judgments. And only 6 member states have complied with this. That poses a challenge to the enforcement of the judgments of the court. Notwithstanding the provision of a method of enforcement of the decisions of the court in the protocol as amended, the compliance rate of the judgments of the court remains unsatisfactory. No member state has communicated to the court the status of decisions and judgments complied with so far. However, the court has been able to get unofficial information from lawyers and parties involved in some cases. It equally shows that although some member states that have not determined the appropriate national authority for the enforcement of the judgments of the court, they have in several cases complied with the judgments of the court. It must, however, be noted that majority of the judgments of the court are yet to be enforced and complied with. The challenge of the enforcement is not specific to the Ecowas court, but common to most international courts and tribunals, even though some fare better than others. This is mainly because, like other international courts, the Ecowas court does not have any direct coercive power over non-compliance of member states.
On day 2 of the parliamentary debate on the State of the Nation address, the concern of the minority caucus was on the current economic hardship being faced by Ghanaians and how best government could address them.
Fought forward behind the president and this country, and I know, by the grace of God, by the end of this year, the numbers will change as they've started changing, and with the approval of the yield levy and other things, we should be able to open up more fiscal space and we'll continue. The beauty of it all is that free senior high is still on. We spent more than 18 billion on COVID in 2020 alone, Mr. Speaker. How can the president say that we have spent 17.7 on COVID since 2020? Mr. Speaker, that is only 2020. We could not even install simple equipment at the Kotoka International Airport to test antigen test. We couldn't, after spending all these monies. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you now, there are frontline health workers we are still owing in this country. Frontline health workers we are still owing. And we have spent over 20 billion on COVID.
The government of Nana Akufo-Addo has been very prudent in management of the resources of Ghana. Indeed, all 4 interchanges put together cost us $280 million, all 4 of them. And indeed, any one of them is bigger than second interchange.
He admitted that in the country today, as the father of the country, as the president of the country, there is hardship, there's anxiety, there's concern amongst the population of this country. It was honest on his part to do that. And I commend him for being frank with the people of this country, that indeed there's hardship going on in the country. He diagnosed that ailment. He did not, in my estimation, suggest practical ways, strategic ways and means of addressing these issues or these challenges that he has diagnosed. He didn't.
About 68,200 jobs were going to be created. 33,900 for those in the construction sector and 34,300 for those who are going to be permanently employed as health workers. These are good news, as the president told us.
Between January and March, fuel prices have gone up 11 times. Many people were waiting to hear that something concrete was going to be done to ameliorate the suffering of the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, what did we see? What did we hear? When the finance minister was to announce measures, Mr. Speaker, he reduced it by only a paltry 15 pesos. You say you will put money in people's pockets. You have not put money in their pockets. Now you are going to remove the money from their pockets via the e-levy. And that is what our senior colleague here, Honorable Avoka, said, that as politicians, we must take our integrity serious.
In Parliament, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Ms. Cecilia Abnadapa, says with the help of the Ghana Water Company and the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, her ministry has put in place short, medium and long-term programs and interventions to tackle the current water rationing in the country.
The Ghana Water Company Limited is utilizing the Siemens plant at Pong to its full capacity to transport 15,000 cubic meters per day of water for distribution. It has also activated the idle capacity at the Pong new water treatment plant to transport an additional 21,000 cubic meters per day of treated water for distribution. So, Speaker, these projects are currently ongoing and they are expected to be completed by the end of the second quarter of 2022. Ghana Water Company Limited is undertaking other interventions to address the water situation currently. These include, among others, replacement of weak sections of the 1,050mm transmission pipeline from Pong Water Treatment Plant to Temagusta Station to improve water supply to Tema and surrounding communities. Nationwide installation of automatic voltage regulators, Mr. Speaker, will stabilize power supply, because when the power supply ceases, the pumping stations don't work. The Ghana Water Company Limited have completed the rehabilitation of gravity sand filters at Brimso Headworks in Central Region and intends to rehabilitate the gravity sand filters at Inchaban Water Treatment Plant in the Western Region. Wager, Adam Clark in Greater Accra and Pepe Headworks in the Volta regions to improve the efficiency of water filtration and to minimize water treatment losses at production stations.
The Korean Program for International Agriculture, in collaboration with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, has organized a training for rice farmers at Gomoaporten and Ochirekun in the Central Region. It is part of a series of response to the low performance in rice production in the region. The Korean government is therefore making strategic interventions for skills improvement and machinery to help shore up productivity in the staple crop.
A training session for some rice farmers, which took place at Gomoaporten in the Central Region. The Rice Farmers Association of nearby town Ochirekun has more than 150 members.
It's about 2 years. Instead, I'm able to 3 times a year. Once in a season.
They face some challenges in the operations, which they reckon the Korean Program for International Agriculture, COPIA, could augment the Ghana government in tackling them. COPIA, which is an overseas development assistance by Korea, identifies wide shortfalls in rice production in the central region of Ghana. It says such production deficits reflects in the larger picture of the country, which has the potential to produce for local demand but unable to meet the requisite targets. Dr. Chung Ho Kim is the COPIA Country Director for Ghana.
Average yield is 2.1 per hectare. In Ghana, it's 2.6 ton per hectare, but world average is around 5.5 ton per hectare. So we wanted to, that means we wanted to help the people to get more yield.
The CSIR Crop Research Institute in Kumasi readily placed their expertise at the disposal of the training. Officials said the event was important in many ways, especially to introduce enhanced agronomic practices in crop farming in the midst of a negatively impacting climate change environment.
Nitrogen fertilizer is very expensive. So we are developing nitrogen use efficient varieties, drought tolerance, and then of course rice with high yielding, and that has the taste for what the market is looking for. That is long grain aromatic rice.
Currently, the rice farmers at Gomoa-Potten and Ochrekun look no further than need for the dam at Ochrekun to be fully tapped for the operations. The experts say the river in the catchment area ought to be channeled to the dam, which in turn fends rice farms. Not operating at optimal level, a private company which pumps water to the rice fields charges farmers 1,000 Ghana cedis per acre. Their farms also face seasonal flooding, as the embankment meant to hold off flooding has broken down.
The Abuasi fishing community in the Shama district of the Western region has been provided with a modern kindergarten facility. It is to ensure a good education foundation for kids in the community.
Fishing communities in the Western region, yet with very high poverty levels among the people. Though it has some thermal power generating plants, this has not impacted fully in the communities. For this reason, it was selected among 12 coastal communities to benefit from a Talo Ghana funded project to provide kindergarten infrastructural facilities. The project, undertaken through community participation, consists of a 2-unit classroom block, a playground, a canteen and a washroom. It is to encourage women, especially those in the fishing industry, to send their children to school instead of taking them to the London beaches and their fish smoking tents, which also exposes the kids to health risks. The headmistress of the Abuasi DA Basic School, Mrs. Vaida Bentum, said before this new facility, the pupils had no classrooms and therefore were at the mercy of the weather. A situation, she explained, made teaching and learning ineffective and also kept most children at home.
In fact, when we get up early in the morning and we come in, we are so proud because our school is beautiful. Before this edifice, in fact, when you get up and you come in, you know you are coming to face a challenge of not having a classroom, being at the library, sharing with another church. Sometimes you come and all your seats are outside. The children will have to be behind the gate. You'll be instructing them, frustration.
A Deputy Minister for Energy, Mr. Andrew Sejapa Mesa, said Ghana's quest to develop the requisite skills for industrial development will be greatly enhanced if every child gets a quality head start in education, particularly in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM.
The Talo Sustainable Kindergarten Project is therefore in line with government's objective of building capacity and enhancing access to basic education in the country. With the carefully planned layout of the school and the robust pedagogy, I am confident that teaching and learning at this facility will be exciting and insightful.
The Deputy Managing Director, Talo Ghana, Mrs. Cynthia Lumo, said Talo's educational initiatives are to help develop students' interests and skills in STEM from kindergarten right up to the tertiary level. She said resources generated from the country's oil must be used to improve the living conditions of all. She encouraged parents to give their wards the right start in life, which will translate into better opportunities in the future.
Talo's educational initiatives are intended to develop interests and skills in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this cuts across all levels of education, from kindergarten through basic school to secondary and then the tertiary level. The Montessori-styled kindergarten project forms the foundation for the development of our children's interest in STEM.
5 graduate students of the Ghana Institute of Journalism have received a scholarship award of 555,400 Ghana cedis from the Lebanese community through 8 embassies in Ghana. The award forms part of the Lebanese community's support to the promotion of quality education in Ghana.
The students were selected based on the exceptional academic qualities exhibited throughout their studies. The 5 beneficiaries are Theodore Abiu, Agnes Ansabekun, Jessica Echan Opoku, Emmanuel Buduano, and Sophia Owusu. Since its inception, the Lebanese scholarship scheme has supported Ghanaian students in the journalism and legal fields, in particular to promote educational and cultural cooperation between the two countries. More than 250 students have received scholarships, both at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels of tertiary education. Director of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Professor Kwame Ansa Eidu, commended the Lebanese community for the continuous support to students across all levels.
We have 60 to 80 embassies in Ghana. If even every embassy gave 2 scholarships to our students, you can imagine what we will have here. So for the Lebanese embassy to continue to do this, and not 2 scholarships, but a number of them at undergraduate level and also a number at postgraduate level. And I think for now, they are about the only embassy that does that. We cannot take it for granted at all, and we cannot fail to express our gratitude to the Lebanese embassy and the Lebanese community for what they do with that for showing such magnanimity and generosity towards our students and also the institution.
The Lebanese ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Mahar Kerr, charged the students to be agents of change in society.
Beyond celebrating your academic success, I challenge you to actively stand up for what is right wherever you go. We need more professionals like you to speak out against injustice, inequality, human rights abuse, and violence, which plagues many. This is the reason for your education and this scholarship. As you continue on your life's journey, I urge you to make your education count.
The students were grateful for the gesture. Studying at the Ghana Institute of Journalism offers numerous advantages. GIJ's vision is to be the preferred communications training institute in Africa, upholding high academic standards and producing world-class professionals for the transformation of society.
The youth are taking various initiatives to mitigate climate change. Ghana's leading transformational leadership advocate, the Young Professionals and Youth Coalition, has held a stakeholders forum in Accra, which they call the Youth Climate Summit 2022. They believe such initiatives are game-changing solutions to the growing climate change crisis in Ghana and Africa.
The climate change crisis is one of the biggest challenges facing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The Young Professionals and Youth Coalition, YPYC, in collaboration with the Climate Investment Funds in Washington, D.C., USA, British High Commission in Accra, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Forestry Commission, EPA, and other partners have engaged student leaders, young community leaders, young professionals, and the youth in general from across Ghana and the sub-region to empower them to come up with their innovative energies to address the effects of climate change in their communities and nations. The West Africa Senior Advisor for Climate Change and Natural Resources at the British High Commission in Accra, Dr. Julian Wright, said the youth must take a leadership role across all parties in government on climate change to help collectively tackle the effects of climate change. The president of the Youth Professionals and Youth Coalition, Mr. Andy Osei Okra, maintains that their focus is on capacity building and empowerment of the youth with the know-how and skills set aimed at climate solutions, mass public education, and awareness creation.
YPYC has a proposition to join major networks and partnerships across the globe to forcefully drum home the need to reverse anti-productive climatic activities.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, said government has adopted an aggressive afforestation program to restore Ghana's lost forest cover to contribute to the global action against climate change.
As you delve into deliberations, I urge you to think outside the box and prefer innovative solutions to tackle this climate crisis. We must build on what we know and develop the right tools and technologies to effectively communicate with farmers and deliver a low-carbon growth.
The Youth Summit had a theme confronting our individual and collective roles in addressing the climate change crisis.
The Apiete rebuilding effort has received a $50,000 check. The donation from Shandong Gold and Cardinal Namdini Mining was presented in Accra to support the reconstruction of the collapsed town.
In view of the reconstruction of the Apiate community, scheduled to start by the end of April, all resources are being marshaled to fast-track the construction process. The latest donation by the Shandong Gold and Cardinal Namdini Mining is one of the biggest so far since the appeal for support. The board chairman of the company, Mr. Zhang Hongxun, says Cardinal had to dig deep into the company's coffers and assist due to the severity of the disaster. The chairman of the Apiate Support Fund, Reverend Joyce Aye, commended the company for such a kind gesture, assuring them of positive results from their support.
We'll never stop asking for money because there's nothing called sufficient when it comes to money. But we are determined to do whatever we can to make sure that the community is returned to as much normalcy, if not even better, than they were before. This amount of money is going to go a long way to enable the Reconstruction and Implementation Committee to do its work.
Shandong Gold and Cardinal Namdini Mining thanked all for their support to the establishment and development of the Shandong Gold Group project, which is 1 year old.
For many, a popular addition to any local or continental breakfast dish is bread. This flour dough-based accompaniment comes in different flavors: butter bread, sugar bread, and wheat flour, popularly called brown bread. But have you ever wondered how your favorite bread is made? This is a story of a special bread recipe baked on the sweet prior leaf, mostly referred to as wacha habain in Akan or wache ba in Ga. Those who swear by it say the leaf adds natural flavors to the bread and it is nutritious as well. Bamlimbodobodo, which literally means bread in a leaf, has existed for decades and is very popular within Jamestown and its environs in Accra. Join us as GBC takes you through the baking process of our Chopology series.
Jamestown is best known for its ancient links to Ghana's British colonial past. It is mainly inhabited by Ga people with fishing activities in abundance. But many may not know, however, that for many years it has been the hub for delicious and popular bread baked in local wache leaves. Born to an Ashanti father and a Ga mother, Madam Evelyn Efriye says she inherited the bread baking business from her great-grandparents. She tells us that from a very tender age, she was part of the bread making process, giving her all the hands-on experience she needed when she finally took over the business fully 25 years ago.
Nuchumo agency more than 200 years.
My great-grandparents came up with the idea of baking in the wache leaf about 200 years ago. It is just the leaves that give it the right flavor. We do not add chemicals.
Ni noni hani eyo different from brodogin ni was yo. Ene chemical kukra bemi. Okay, chemicals wumi. Ba pe ha le flavor. Ni ba he wale yemi.
With a quarter-century worth of experience under her belt, Madam Evelyn has gained bragging rights for constantly maintaining the standard of great taste in Bamli Bodo. She has diligently managed the business and extended its client base beyond Jamestown. People come from far and near to buy from her for onward sale. Others place orders for their social events, while others purchase for domestic use. Lovers of Bamli Bodo cut across all walks of society, and as Madam Evelyn tells us, Bamli Bodo was late President Atta Mills's favorite accompaniment for all his breakfasts.
Someone bought a loaf and recommended it to the late President Atta Mills, and it became his all-time favorite.
No crack if your breakfast ahale ona ke where YouTube
people abroad find us online, so when they visit Ghana, they can't find
YouTube.
All one needs is flour, salt, sugar, butter, and yeast mixed together, then knead until it becomes even. No artificial flavor of any sort is added to the mixture, as the bread derives its natural flavors from the sweet prayer leaf. After kneading, the dough is transferred onto a lightly floured flat surface, then gently molded into balls. The leaves are cleaned thoroughly before the dough balls are transferred onto them. The dough balls are arranged 6 to a leaf. It is set aside for about 5 to 6 hours to prove until it doubles in size. About an hour to the time for the dough to prove woolly, the oven is heated up and prepared for baking, as compared to the modern-day oven where the flame is used in baking the bread. The traditional oven, which is made of clay, is preheated for the walls to absorb the heat. Using the traditional oven or a kiln as a source of energy for baking is less cost-effective. It needs a few pieces of firewood and a dried sweet prayer leaf, which has already been used in baking, to light the fire in the oven. The fire is then spread evenly across the oven. Next, transfer the loaf onto the oven and bake until golden brown and the loaf sounds hollow when tapped underneath. Bamli Bodo is heavier than your regular sugar bread. The aroma of the bread alone, especially when it is fresh from the oven, is enough to convert even the most skeptical buyer. Even without a spread of choice, its natural good taste is enough to make you yearn for more. Alternatively, if you have a sweet tooth, slap on a healthy serving of fresh butter when the bread is hot and watch it melt and dissolve into the bread. A big bite and you realize that the taste is elevated to a whole new level of finger-licking yummy goodness.
Miss Lynn, have you ever tried the Bamli Bodo before?
Never.
Give it a try with a cup of tea. You will love it.
From what I have seen, I'll certainly give it a try. Time to go for a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Please, do stay tuned.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Time now for the business segment, proudly brought to you by MTN and Quick Credit, and I am Dorothy Ajiman. Anglo Gold Ashanti Duapre Mine at Takwa has expressed its commitment to a renewed partnership with stakeholders for the mutual benefits of both sides. The company will continue to work with relevant stakeholders to ensure that its operations are safe and host communities are fairly treated. The company made this pledge at its annual Thanksgiving service in Takwa.
Anglo Gold Ashanti Duapre Mine is one of the leading mining companies in the country. In 2019, it was adjudged the best mining company at the 6th Ghana Mining Industry Awards. Over the years, Anglo Gold Ashanti has improved the lives of people in its host communities through projects and development activities. The company's annual Thanksgiving, which involved management, employees, contractors, the host communities and government agencies, was to praise God for the successes chalked and to seek his guidance in its operations. This year's event, the 19th in the series, was on the theme Celebrating the Goodness of the Lord. The company also applauded its partners for their support and cooperation, which helped it to excel in all of its dealings and engagements. The managing director, Mr. Charles Boachi Pobi, said Anglo Gold Ashanti has set in motion several life-changing initiatives aimed at registering a positive footprint in its operational area and beyond. These include economic empowerment programs to enable the host communities to participate in the mine's value chain, scholarships to 50 students to pursue tertiary education, and apprenticeship programs, among others. He said the company was also able to secure funding and land to construct a new tailings storage facility that guarantees 10 years of safe mining operations.
As part of efforts to provide a sustainable future for the youth in our host communities through education, we instituted the Duapre Community Scholarship Scheme in 2011 to assist deserving students from our host communities to further their education at the tertiary level every year.
In a sermon, Pastor Inyani Asari of the Takwa branch of the Victory Bible Church encouraged Christians to thank God for his grace and mercy in all things.
Anglo Gold, one of the advantages to make impact. So we are Anglo Gold, Ababa. And it is something that is worthy of commendation.
The Pristiahuni Valley Municipal Chief Executive, Dr. Isaac Dasmani, said the company has kept faith with the people since it started operations in the area, but urged them to do more for the people.
The company is doing well with the community relationship, and I hereby encourage you to continue the good work.
Back here in Accra, the development of the automobile policy is yet to be implemented. In an interview on GBC News Market Avenue with the General Manager of Sales at Japan Motors, Mr. Amen Kabara, the implementation of the policy would lead to the 30% reduction in the price of the locally assembled units as against the imported ones, which would be cost-saving for the industry.
Though the policy has been developed, but as we speak now, it has not really been implemented. And one of the main reasons government has still not implemented is that they want to ensure that there is enough capacity of production to satisfy the demand in the market. And obviously, with our commissioning of the plant today, is giving the government the assurance required to implement this policy, hopefully, and soon as possible. So the more players come in the system, the better for the country, the better for the industry.
Let's have the performance of the local currency on the forex markets and the prices of gold, cocoa and light sweet from the commodity board. In this segment, proudly brought to you by MTN and Quick Credit. Coming up is the energy segment. Please do stay.
Good evening, this is the energy segment with Mabel Anang. The 15 pesos per litre reduction in petroleum prices takes effect today, April 1, 2022. The pricing index of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies indicates that petrol will sell for between 9 cedis 42 pesos and 10 cedis 48 pesos, and diesel will range from 10 cedis 66 pesos to 11 cedis 56 pesos per litre for the first pricing window of April.
Government reduced the ex-pump prices for 3 months starting today. The move forms part of its measures to cushion petroleum consumers against the recent spike in fuel prices. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies, AOMC's, pricing index for the first pricing window of April liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) will also sell between 10 cedis 9 pesos and 10 cedis 79 pesos a kilogram. COPEC is projecting a 20 pesos reduction in the first pricing window of this month. The head of research at COPEC, Mr. Benjamin Isia, said the 15 pesos reduction will only benefit consumers purchasing in larger quantities. The reduction will not reflect on LPG prices, adding that governments must focus more on gas as is widely used.
15 pesos, it is only going to benefit those who maybe buy in larger volumes, but for those who buy 20 liters a day for activities, 30 liters a day for activities, in the 15 pesos multiplied by 30 liters cannot even get you an additional liter, and that is unproductive on our perspective, because it is not going to change anything. 15 pesos cannot buy an additional drop of fuel. I must also state that the 15 pesos, as announced by the finance minister, will only take effect on petrol and diesel, because the LPG levies, taxes and margins on the LPG were not mentioned by the finance minister, so there's not going to be any reduction on the prices of LPG with respect to only government reviewing some of these taxes, levies and margins on that particular build-up. LPG should also be of concern. If the prices continue to hike even more than the petrol, it affects households more.
Meanwhile, the OMCs ended the March pricing window with allied oil being the highest, with petrol selling at 10 cedis 44 pesos and diesel at 11 cedis 62 pesos per litre. Petrosol, Puma Energy, Shell was selling petrol between 9 cedis 95 pesos and 9 cedis 70 pesos, and diesel ranging from 11 cedis 18 pesos to 10 cedis 39 pesos per litre. Oil, Total Energies and Star Oil are trading petrol between 9 cedis 60 pesos and 9 cedis 29 pesos and diesel ranging from 10 cedis 78 pesos to 10 cedis 39 pesos per litre.
This is how we wrap up with the energy segment. Health news is up next. My name is Mabel Anang.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by kind courtesy Lufat. Ghana is one of 12 countries making progress in its tobacco control efforts. To accelerate the implementation of its policies on tobacco control, the Food and Drugs Authority has received $100,000 from the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control under the Phase 3 of the FCTC 2030 project. Among the key priorities to be implemented are 100% smoke-free environment, increased taxation on tobacco products, and insistence that tobacco products are packed in plain packages with effective health warnings. A report by Sarah Furi.
Youth Tobacco Survey reveals that tobacco use is highly prevalent among the youth, and more than 500,000 adults in Ghana smoke cigarettes and other tobacco products on a daily basis. A significant number of non-smokers are also exposed to secondhand smoking. The detrimental effects of tobacco use, the burden of tobacco-related diseases, and the toll on the health system are said to be extensive. Cerebrovascular diseases, non-communicable diseases, and cancers are all as a result of tobacco abuse. Ghana is said to have demonstrated enough political will to implement the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control since it became signatory to it in 2004. For this reason, Ghana was selected as the WHO FCTC 2030 Phase 3 country.
The scarcity of resources has starved the tobacco control enforcement of the relevant funds to propel the comprehensive implementation of the WHO FCTC, especially in the strengthening of the tobacco control interagency coordination mechanism. The MOH and the FDA, on behalf of His Excellency the President, remain grateful to the governments of Australia, of Norway, of the United Kingdom for their generous funding in this regard.
The team lead for development assistance at the WHO FCTC Secretariat, Mr. Andrew Black, said tobacco is a threat to sustainable development. He further reiterated that the tobacco industry has consistently targeted lower and middle income countries looking for ways to grow their markets and increase their profit margins. Hence, Ghana is on their priority list. When he launched the FCTC 2030 project in Ghana, the Minister for Health, Mr. Kweku Agyeman-Manu, said Ghana hopes to eliminate all illicit trade in tobacco products through the promotion of law enforcement and international cooperation.
Ghana still has a long way to go in the pursuit of attaining a tobacco-free country. Key amongst the tobacco control challenges in Ghana is the absence of comprehensive smoke-free policies, weak interagency coordination, and difficulties in implementing a total ban on tobacco product advertising.
The head of Tobacco and Substance Abuse at the Food and Drugs Authority, Mrs. Olivia Boateng, says the laws on tobacco regulation, as it is, does not ensure compliance.
If it was strictly no smoking in all public places, then it makes the enforcement very, very easy. In fact, the law for the FCTC requirement or the recommendation is there should be no smoking in all public places. And we've had the law for over 10 years. We've done gap analysis. We think that going forward, we need to do certain amendments. That's an aspect of it that we think we will take back to Parliament to say we want a comprehensive smoke-free environment.
The FDA says although the law permits them to regulate emerging tobacco products, there is the need to build on their capacities and that of law enforcers. Sarah for GBC News, Accra.
That's all in this segment, brought to you by kind courtesy of Lufat. Up next is international news.